the rings yet. Everything's under control for the wedding in a new series next here on BBC One. And on BBC Two in a moment, the woman who prefers plastic trolls to men in the Antique Show.
At 9, the government's so-called health crusade to save hundreds of thousands of English lives a year. Rhetoric or realistic targets for a healthier nation? Plus the twisters that roared across the Midlands last night. Will they be back tonight? Join me at 9.
It started with Marie wanting a fairy tale wedding.
And I said I'd only do one if I could organise it as a surprise.
They're more nervous than we are.
I should have gone by now.
It's way too early.
But there were a few unplanned surprises.
Can't get the back door open.
It's enough stress for me.
The wedding.
This is it.
In half an hour on BBC One.
First on BBC One, proving even animals have their emotional problems. Barking Mad.
Good evening. Please do not adjust your set. This is Barking Mad.
Tonight, watch out, there's a predator about.
The football-playing mutt who tackles the whole team.
The snack-happy ghosts of Chester Zoo.
And the moggy with an unhealthy obsession.
Now, we've all heard of the postman being put off by the dog, but this is a twist of the tale. Meet Freddy.
No, this isn't Freddy. This is the postman. This is Freddy. The hunter and the quarry. Today, it's Postman Pat, but all too often, it's Postman Splat. Freddy's attacks on visitors are so serious that number 9 is becoming a no-go zone. It's time to boldly go where others fear to tread. As expected, Freddy launches an attack, but then backs off. Very interesting. So Heather, tell me a bit about how Freddy came into your life.
We've had Freddy since he was 5 weeks old. He's now nearly 6. He's a house cat. He doesn't go out because we live on a main road, so he just stays within the house.
So what does he do when people come to the house?
When people come into his house as he sees it, then he spits and growls at them, and he will actually go and try and bite them.
So who's his favourite enemy then?
The postman, his favourite enemy. He doesn't want the mail, he wants the man himself. He does it to everybody. He does it to people that he knows. He has done it to us in the past. He will do it to us.
Why do you think he does this kind of behaviour?
I think he probably feels threatened because he doesn't go out, he doesn't enter into their world, they're entering into his territory.
Well, you're kind of along the right lines. There's no doubt at all that Freddy is a complete and utter control freak. At the end of the day, cats, all our pet cats, are very interested in their territory. That's very important to them as a predator. Now, you're seeing all those behaviours going on, defending territory, being predatory towards the postman. You're seeing those, but in a kind of odd environment. This is not the wild. He lives inside this house. Emma's got a whole load of stuff that she'll need to do to start changing the kind of lifestyle that he has and you have with him. But I really, really, really need to rifle through your wardrobe. Is that all right?
Right.
I know it sounds nuts, but it'll all become clear later.
Riding is fantastic fun, and I'm pretty sure Aladdin here enjoys it too. But what happens if the horse you want to ride doesn't want to be ridden?
When Rafferty was bought at auction 5 years ago, his owners soon discovered that he was unrideable, and he ended up abandoned at a rescue centre. His new carer, Linda Ruffle, knew about Rafferty's strange aversion to being ridden, but wasn't about to give up on him.
For me, the fear in his face at the prospect of being ridden is probably one of the most painful things I've ever seen. He was scared. He was really scared. Just couldn't cope with it. He has got one awesome buck, and he had me on the floor.
Even a dummy rider is a terrifying proposition, but there's more to the problem than meets the eye.
Rafferty came to the sanctuary in the summer of '96, and the vet diagnosed probably a fractured pelvis, possibly some damage to the spine as well. The vet has said he's physically sound, the fracture is healed, but he is terrified of people. Was it July '97? I've spent some time virtually every day with Rafferty getting to know him. He's such a lovely horse, such a lovely nature.
Why do you think he needs to be ridden? Why not just leave him if he's so frightened?
He's a young horse still. He's 7 rising 8. For myself, I would be quite happy to accept if being ridden is not for him, then he has a home, he's got me, he doesn't get rid of me just because he's not being ridden. Physically, it would offer him more in terms of exercise. Intellectually, the mental stimulation of being able to do more.
Over the months without proper exercise, Rafferty's muscles have wasted. Before his psychological problems can be treated, he has to be physically strong. Behaviourist Kelly Marks is keen for him to join her on her farm to get him into peak condition.
Time for Rafferty to have a little holiday. So, are you all ready? Ready for your?
So, are you ready, Linda?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
I'm not worried about Rafferty, I'm more worried about Linda.
We're fine. No, he's going to do fine. He's ready for this.
What do you think of that horse box, eh?
Come on then.
Come on, mate.
Come on. Good boy, Raps.
Linda's understandably sad to see him go. She's very attached to Rafferty, but his psychological block about being ridden is severe, and to undo the painful memories of being ridden when he was injured is not going to be an overnight thing. We'll be back to see if anything can be done for him.
Back in Grimsby with fearsome Freddie, and behaviourist Emma Magnus starts to put our treatment plan into action.
When people are attacked by Freddie, their natural reaction is to jump, to leap, to yelp, to make a noise of some description. That is all going to reward Freddie's behaviour, and therefore in the long term that's going to make him more and more aggressive. So something we could try is to put a pair of these on. So silly as this might seem, obviously if he now goes for my legs, I can stand completely still. There's no reward for the behaviour. The other important things are that visitors that you have, or even yourselves at some stages, don't look at him, don't speak to him, don't try and touch him in any way, because they're all things that are intimidating and are going to make aggression more likely.
Emma starts by showing Heather what not to do. Walking away from Freddie when attacked by him is likely to reward his behaviour. Stopping dead and only moving on when Freddie calms down should help teach him that his aggressive behaviour doesn't work.
Now there's a really obvious problem here with this letterbox in that it's so low, it's absolutely at Freddie's height. So your poor postman's fingers are coming through at mouth height. So I don't think you're going to be able to raise this letterbox with this particular door, so I think it's probably safer to put a box on the outside of the house that we can lock, keep it secure, and save your postman's fingers.
No, don't say a thing, all right? I know these are Heather's clothes, but all this is for a very good reason. OK, so I know this hasn't fooled you, but will it fool Freddie? Let's just see if he completely... Oh, a bit of a growl there. This is the seat that Heather normally sits in. Now what I'm hoping is that dear old Freddie's otherwise occupied with food, which is good, but the idea is to see whether we can convince him that actually if I look and smell more like the people he will trust and he has no problem with in the house, i.e. Heather, then that will allow him to adjust and think new relationships with people, because at the moment anybody who comes in here, or the majority of people, he absolutely hates. So we've got to build some bridges. And for cats, it's very definitely not just what you look like, it's what you smell like as well. There we are. Do you want that one? There you go. Very important not to make eye contact. You didn't want that one then, so we'll just put that there. That's a very good lad. Now, clearly I don't sound anything. Oh, hello. Okay. Now you can see for a minute he was fooled. He came up, and it was only when he got very close to me and he could start smelling my face that he suddenly realised, hang on a minute, I'm getting some mixed messages here, and now he's disappeared. So in principle, we should be able to fool him, but we've got to find a slightly more practical way than cross-dressing. Although I quite like the shoulder pads. Only joking. Visitors can easily be made to smell less alien, virtue of a quick rub down with a cloth that carries both Heather's and Freddie's scents.
Now, the easiest way for Freddie to accept people, save everybody dressing up in your clothes, is to get this damp cloth, wipe it onto Freddie, and then for them to wipe it onto their feet and around their ankles, just like I've done. That will then be at his height, so he'll accept people really quickly. The other thing that we have is the play scarf. So Freddie knows when he sees this scarf he's going to be played with. Everybody new can put this on, look like a football supporter, and in we go and meet him. Now, all these wonderful toys that we have for Freddie, when they're all out all over the floor, aren't as exciting for him as they could be. So we've collected them all up, put them in this box. They're going to stay in here. Because he's an indoor cat, he needs a good half an hour of play a day. So you're going to bring these toys out for play with him. You're going to wear this scarf, so he's got something visual to tie in with being played with. When you finish the play, back in the box they go. When a visitor comes around, they have the scarf that they'll put on to wear. They'll have the toy box, they'll play with him. When they go, toys go back again.
So let's test it out. Aha, the gardener. Morning, come on in, wipe your feet. Aggression in cats is a complex phenomenon, and interestingly, Freddie displays 6 different types of aggression. He's not just a control freak. His mind is all over the place. One minute he's playful, the next frightened, and the next predatory. As well as retraining Freddie, Heather needs to restructure his whole lifestyle as an indoor cat. His personality isn't going to change overnight, but initial results are very encouraging. Yeah, you can stay.
Since Emma and Mark have left, we've actually been wearing the scarf when we've been playing with Freddie, and we've got visitors to come to the house, rub themselves with the cloth on the leg and then play with the toy. And he's actually seemed a lot better. My sister actually came at the weekend and she was going to give him 10 minutes, but she actually managed 2.5 hours with him, and he was loose in the house and he didn't go for her once. So he's been good. It seems to be working.
Rafferty has been lodging at Kelly's farm for several months, and so has Linda on and off. He started his treatment first in the capable hands of physiotherapist Mary Bromley.
He's got some movement there, and then we want to see if he can lift it, which he can, but he is definitely uncomfortable over his loins here. And now I just want to go down over the sacroiliac joint, and you can see that he also resents that very slightly. Just push his quarters over so he doesn't bang himself.
Test your engines before you start anything.
There's really only one way to iron out those painful areas: exercise, hours and hours of it. Rafferty has to lift his legs to step over these logs. It's an effective way to get his muscles back in shape. And regular exercise in this specialist water treadmill will really build the strength back into Rafferty's legs. It's hard to walk through water, which is good, and he won't experience the pounding effects on his joints like he would on dry land. It's like the difference for us between jogging and swimming. After 3 months of Kelly's carefully planned treatments, Rafferty's back in shape. It's finally time to test out riding again.
Linda, he's really developing a good trust in us, isn't he?
It's certainly improved, hasn't it?
Yeah.
He loves to be with people now.
Good boy. Get that tongue. That's really expressive, the tongue, then.
He's a completely different horse. He's so relaxed, but will he take a saddle and rider? This first ride is crucial. It must be a calm and good experience. Jockey Simon Rayner is drafted in. He's a professional rider and he's lightweight, but we have no idea what may happen. Rafferty may refuse to be ridden and buck Simon off.
If at any time you don't feel happy, you just say to me and you're going to drop on your feet. If you do get on and anything happens, and you come off. Keep your head down until I say it's safe, okay? Good luck, kid. That's great, well done. Just keep as quiet as you can there now, and I'm going to turn him in a very small circle around me to see how he feels. Good boy. He's a little bit planted here. Okay. That's it, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. There we are. There we are.
This is a new start for Rafferty, but at any moment he could take fright and remember the pain of riding in the old days. He could still bolt and take Simon with him.
Do you feel happy about growing up slowly? Good boy, Raf. Well, I think this is a really good stage to finish on. What do you think about that, Linda?
Absolutely. I mean, finish on a high note. It's so good to see him accepting and relaxed, walking around with Simon there. And it's what I believed he could do. That's great.
Yeah, okay. Now, it's just as important to be careful as you're getting off as it is getting on, because that might just frighten him. Yeah. Whoopsie. Good boy. Still worried. Still, you know, you just can't do these things overnight.
No.
Even if he's not actually in pain at all, you see, he can remember the pain.
Exactly.
And that's what makes him anxious. And that's a big sigh of relief, I think. They often do that when they're finishing off something that's worried them a bit. Yeah.
It's early days, but Linda's almost overwhelmed. She's never seen him ridden.
He's accepted Simon. He's still anxious, but that was never going to go away overnight.
There's not always quick fixes for these situations. He's got the memory of the pain there, and it's going to stay with him for a very long time, and that's what we've got to rebalance and get him to associate all good things with us.
Everyone who's been involved with him has been really proud of Rafferty. For him, it's a new beginning.
If you'd like to know more about animal behaviour therapy, then there is a BBC booklet. To obtain your copy, send a cheque for £4 made payable to BBC Education to Barking Mad, BBC, PO Box 7, London W12 8UD. Or you can order one on your credit card by phoning us on 0990 100 789. Right, it's back to the hamsters, OK? You see this bit here?
My name is Dennis Kerhar, and this is Skippy. She's a passionate footballer. She always liked a round ball to play with, and she started off with a tennis ball, and it's gone on from there. I think if she was a player, I would say she'd be like Ryan Giggs. When you see him dribbling through the defences, I always think of Skippy. I haven't had any scouts around yet to sign her up, but I'd like for her to go and play for Manchester United or some big team like that. But whether she'll make the grade or not, I don't know. I think if I was offered a lot of money, I still wouldn't sell her. She's the family pet, and I'm afraid my wife wouldn't have it anyhow. She will have to stay with us forever. Is that right?
Most cats don't really like water, but this one's a bit different. Do you know, each household gets through about 500 litres of water every day. Isn't that amazing? And we take it all for granted. But some of us are absolutely fascinated by water, almost to the point of obsession. Fred will get into water anywhere he can find it, and this unfortunately includes the less desirable locations in the house. Owner Maureen Isherwood does at least know why he's doing it.
It's because of the type of breed that he is. He's a Turkish van cat, and They're very attracted to water in the wild. They swim in a lake called Lake Van in Turkey.
Yeah.
And actually catch fish from time to time.
He's getting soaking wet.
Well, he won't mind that at all. Quite likes getting soaking wet.
What else does he do? This is quite entertaining, I think.
Could do with some toilet training, really, because you flush the toilet and Fred's in there.
In the toilet?
And Amber's in there, yes. He gets down and tries to play with the water in the toilet bowl.
It's got to the point now that he spends hours a day dipping his paws into the pan. This is clearly unhygienic and could be dangerous if Fred fell in and got stuck. So it's time to call in expert help. Behaviourist Rachel Casey brings along a rather large prop. It's not that we want to discourage Fred from his love of water, but we really have to make it cleaner and safer.
So, we're going to have to sort you out, and I know just the woman to do it. Soaked cat.
I think I can give you a bit of advice about this little problem, and this secret weapon will certainly help.
What is it?
That's for you to find out, because we're going to leave you to construct it, and Maureen and I are going to work with the cats.
Maureen gets a good job.
It'll be important to give Fred other things to do in the house to take his mind off the loo.
Like any cat, they would naturally spend about 6 or 7 hours a day hunting. So we need to replace that time they spent hunting with other activities. And we're going to do that by introducing some more toys and some more games for them so that they can use their time searching for food or playing with games as if they were hunting. The other thing we can do is make Fred work for his food.
Believe me, Fred, I know what that feels like. But to be serious, it's important for Maureen to get into the swing of playing with Fred and leave me to get frustrated with Rachel's strange contraption.
He's showing some really lovely hunting behaviours there. I wonder how Philippa's getting on next door.
I've done it!
So with Maureen all set up to spend at least an hour a day playing with Fred, time to find out what I've been up to.
Fred, look what I built you!
What do you think of that, then? It took me ages to put this together. If you don't play with it, I shall personally throttle you. As if.
You like it? You love it, don't you? It's your own little Grecian urn.
Now come on, it's a bit more classy than a toilet pan, you must agree.
Aren't you the luckiest cat in the world? So no more going to the bathroom?
No more going to the bathroom and lots of playing with the fountain.
Once you know the answer, it's all quite simple and so much cleaner and safer. If Maureen can remember to close that bathroom door, the urn should quickly take over from the pan as Fred's favourite playground. Now, lemurs are bright, lively creatures who need to be kept busy. So the lot at Chester Zoo were very privileged to get a visit from Mr. Intrepid himself.
Oh yes, indeed. It's always a privilege for keepers to have me and a camera crew under their feet all day. I think not, but bless them, they do look after us well.
James, how wide is this walkway?
Wide enough.
Wide enough? How deep is it either side?
It's about 6 foot deep either side.
It's awful not knowing where your feet. I could disappear. This is Chester Zoo, and these animals here, ring-tailed lemurs, are some of the most extraordinary animals in the world. Now, if you've never seen a ghost, you have now, because that's what lemur means. Hello. Do you want some of your breakfast?
I'm here to help James Thwaite with a feeding problem.
They are wonderful. Have they all got names?
Yes, they have.
Hey, who said it was self-service? Excuse me.
There's clearly nothing wrong with their appetite, though.
Here you are. They're wonderful. Do you do a lot of hand feeding with them?
Some, not that much, really.
Right. Do we have the best job in the world, or what?
Ring-tailed lemurs have always fascinated me. The only truly wild place they're found anywhere on this planet is the island of Madagascar. Sadly, they're now threatened, and this group are part of an international project to safeguard their future.
James, you normally would only feed a very small amount by hand. I mean, most of it will be fed on the island.
Yeah. That's one reason it's quite very time-consuming, because we've got 25 adult lemurs.
Yeah.
So the scatter feed, we can see them all individually, have a look at them, see if they're okay, and then they get a wider spread of food.
How long does it normally take them to eat it up?
Take that long, maybe 10-15 minutes really.
15 minutes is not long. This is the typical problem with having these concentrated foods, is it's all too convenient for animals. It takes far too short a time. For these animals, they need to be occupied, and food is one of the best ways of doing that, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And that's our challenge today.
It is.
The lemurs here enjoy a very enriched environment on this specially constructed wooded island, and James is hell-bent on encouraging them to behave as naturally as possible. He has a plan, and I will help him carry it out, but it's difficult to leave these lemurs alone.
These are animals that work by scent. You see on the inside of their forearms, they've got a bare piece of skin, which is a very important scent gland for them, but actually to us, I've never sniffed a lemur before, and they don't actually smell that strong at all, do they?
Fairly pleasant smelling animals, really.
Very.
As well as feeding too fast, another problem with these lemurs is that they could do with spending more time foraging in the trees. So James and I are going to build something that should encourage them to do just that.
Yeah, well behaved.
Lemurs and DIY. This must be heaven. With my newfound friends looking on in disbelief, James and I set to work.
Can you tell what it is yet? Hello.
Well, here's a clue. It's a kind of container, and we put sarnies in them.
It's pretty high-tech, isn't it? That's it.
Ah, the simplest ideas are often the most effective.
Okay, there we go. That's it, nice and tight. I promised you a lunchbox. There it is. And that is the only way in. That's the puzzle. Will it work? I hope so. Shall I get the fruit?
Yes, go on.
Right. Who's this on my shoulder now?
Denzel again.
Denzel again. Don't you just love their chorus? It's like having a choir around.
The hardest job of the day is stopping the lemurs mobbing us before we're ready.
No, excuse me, mind your bottom. Well, they definitely like it, don't they? Already.
Rather than sarnies, though, a mixture of chopped fruit. To get hold of it, the lemurs will have to pull individual chunks through the mesh. They're desperate for their dinner, but as in all posh restaurants, they've got to wait. Right, all yours. Less à la carte, more à la James and Mark. Whoa! Whoops, an unplanned complication. So much for your knots, James.
Have you been in the Boy Scouts or not?
Many, many, many years ago.
I think we need to send you on a course. Okay.
No worries, the lunchbox is soon back in business.
And that's 26 minutes and still counting.
And it'll be some time yet before their bellies are full and they're back basking in the sun. While we're waiting, time for a small adjustment to another of James's troubled knots.
Oh, very funny.
Good night then, Mark.
What? Come on, very funny. Come on, James. James, I'm going out for dinner with Philippa.
Not now, see you in the morning.
Can I go instead? With table manners like that, come on, Philippa's a classy bird.
Well, that's it for Barking Mad for another week. But before we go, keep your letters and your videos coming in to Barking Mad, PO Box 229, Bristol, BS 99 7JN. And we'll see you again next week. Till then, goodbye. I've got my work cut out for me here.
Next week, a peacock who thinks he rules the roost.
Some boxing bunnies are taught to calm down.
And a pulling dog learns to walk to heel.
Marie and Peter are about to marry. The future in-laws could be a problem, though. The wedding is next on BBC One, while over on BBC Two, Ainsley's setting up camp for his latest sizzling dish, a big cookout in cowboy country. That's in just a moment. Find out about the secret life of your dog. BBC Online looks into how animals once behaved in the wild at www.bbc.co.uk/animalzone.
I'll say, OK, yes, 7 or 8 inches, that's fine, but above that...
And underneath, there's red onions slowly